Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be going over the new information coming out of the European Fan Festival for Final Fantasy XIV, specifically the opening keynote. Now it's like 3 in the morning right now, so my volume's a little bit low. Apologies for that, but I've got neighbors. So anyway, first of all, I want to say thank you to Strider7. While we were watching it, he was taking pictures, and we have an entire Imgur folder that we'll be going through right here, and I will make sure it's adjusted for the actual video once we get to that point of the recording. First, we're going to go through all of the new information on the tech side of things, and then we'll move over and I'll show you guys a bunch of images and we can associate them with the different things that were revealed. Now, first of all, they showed an extended trailer revealing that this expansion is not just taking us to Ala Mhigo, but we will simultaneously be traveling to the far eastern continent of Othard. But all 3 samurai, Yugiri, and Doma all make an appearance. So we'll not just be working to liberate Ala Mhigo, will also be liberating Doma, and we'll get into more information about that in a little bit. So on top of that, there's just a bunch of new zones. We were kind of thinking, we don't really know how many zones we were going to get, but I mean, Othard's an entirely new continent, so we're probably going to get to see a fair portion of it. We'll see some screenshots of those zones a little bit later, as a matter of fact. On top of that, they introduced Yugiri's new armor. She's actually wearing the Ninja AF3, though she has a unique color palette for it. And on top of that, a new character, Gosetsu, will be introduced in patch 3.5 part 2 to help us lead into our traveling to Othard. Now, they finally revealed the new job, Samurai. So it was Samurai after all that, and they did confirm that the tip for Sam Raimi was correct, which, to be fair, we kind of expected it because he did acknowledge it in an interview after he was off stage. But they showed us some in-game footage, and they have confirmed it is indeed a DPS. We are getting 2 DPS, a melee DPS and a caster DPS in this expansion. The reason behind that was that their data showed from Heavensward that even though they introduced a new tank and a new healer, the only people who, well, not the only people, but the majority of people who played the new tank and the new healer were currently tanks and healers. Now, because Red Mage and Samurai are such high expectations, I know so many people who said they will drop everything and play Samurai and Red Mage if they come out. That includes tanks, healers, and other DPS. My concern is that these jobs are so high profile that that mentality might not work, but it's something that regardless of how it launches, in what state it launches, eventually it will even out because people will try to nail down playstyles, especially with the fact that tanks and healers are going to be getting retooled with new skills, old skills pruned out, and general rebalancing done for all the jobs. They even called Paladin by name and said that they will be making sure to give that job a lot of love. So of course, its weapon is a katana, and in terms of you, and for you glamour crazers, it's 3 in the morning, forgive me. For all you people who love glamour out there, every katana will come with a unique scabbard. So that is going to be part of your glamoring options. It has no associated class, and its starting level will be 50, just like the Red Mage. Also, just like the Red Mage, you only need to complete the Praetorium in order to unlock it. It will be unlocked in Eorzea area, so as a brand new player, as soon as you hit level 50 and complete the Praetorium, you could feasibly go and unlock Samurai or Red Mage, before even doing the 2.1 main scenario quest. As for the battle style, a lot of generic statements. Of course, we know it's a melee DPS, so engage your foes up close with deadly katana. Really? Yeah, I think we got that. And it shares equipment with monks. So those monks out there who want to switch to Samurai, you've already got gear sets ready to go. Those of you who want to get gear ready for the 50 to 60 leveling grind, now you know what job to be aiming for. Now they learn, I'm terrible with Japanese pronunciation, so forgive me. Learn Ai and other swordplay techniques. Master of the arts of Sen and its 3 forces, Setsu, Getsu, and Ka, also known as sun, snow, moon, and flower. To me, it sounded kind of like Monk's 3 stances. And because they share gear, it's possible, but there's nothing to actually suggest that. That's just some speculation on my end. One of the big things that they can do is store energy in their katana and use it and unleash a special attack. Because it isn't a long animation for this super attack, you have to make sure that you're timing it correctly so that you don't get killed. Sounds like animation lock to me. Either that or maybe you can interrupt it to move, but it'll obviously cost you time and DPS. So figuring out the proper timing for unleashing that super attack is going to be critical for the actual damage that that you deal. It has also been confirmed there is no third job. These are the only 2 jobs coming in Stormblood. However, like I said earlier, they are retooling and rebalancing all of 13 of the existing jobs as well, which is an obvious reason why it would be kind of hard to release 3 new jobs in an expansion, especially when each one takes about a year of development. Now, Yoshi P did say he knows people are worried about the duty finder and its matching, and that's where we got that information about tanks and healers not really getting many new tanks or healers in Heavensward despite releasing 2 new jobs. So they feel like it's gonna be okay here. We also have to remember, at least for 50 to 60, we do still have Palace of the Dead. I'm pretty sure Palace of the Dead from 60 to 70 is still not gonna be efficient, and really where you're gonna see the DPSQ issues are still just post level 50, really just post level 60 because of Palace of the Dead. So I guess with all those things in mind, especially with another deep dungeon, probably coming in 4.1, 4.2, somewhere in that vicinity. We don't have a time frame on it yet. I'm sure that is very much a short-term concern that people can worry about now, but will probably not be a problem when it actually comes down to it in the long term. So they said specifically breathe new life into existing jobs. So then they recapped all the 4.0 features, and we're going to run over that quick recap now. Main antagonists, the Garleans and Xenos Galvis, the Legatus of the 12th Legion. The new areas, Alamigo, Doma, and the far eastern locales. New jobs, Red Mage and Samurai, new level cap 70. Battle system changes, which they have not gone into any more specific information about. New gear crafting recipes, expanded exploration, Eureka, which we still also don't have more information about. 1 new beast tribe, the Ananta and their primal Lakshmi, although we have a new beast tribe and primal to go over from some of the information later. Increased inventory capacity. For those who missed that, they said they're going to be increasing it, in quotes, as much as possible. So we'll see what that actually ends up meaning. Updated PC minimum spec requirements and recommendation to update to a 64-bit operating system if you haven't. End of PS3 support. This has been known for a while. Swimming and diving, which they replayed the opening video for. The interdimensional rift, the Omega, the Bend of Time, is the first new raid. More story involving Omega in patch 3.5 part 2. Return to Evilise, the new 24-man raid, which they recruited Matsuno Yasumi and Amemiya Kaita to help design. Now let's get into the new information, all right? So first of all, because we're going to Doma, we got Rhalger's Reach for Alamigo. We're also getting the port town of Kugane over in the Hingashi region on Othard. So it has a strict isolationist policy, and it has and violent acts are prohibited within the walls of Kugane. And it's the only port in Hingashi that opens to foreign trade vessels, which is why we're allowed to get there. They also showed a video of Kugane with some music. It was fantastic. We'll get into the screenshots of that a little bit later. Now, there's also other new areas in Othard. We have the Ruby Sea, which is home to a lot of pirates, and our new beast tribe, which we'll be going over here in a second. We have Yangzha, which I'm totally mispronounced, the region home to Doma, which is controlled by the Garlean Empire, and we have the Azim Steppe. Will be the first expansive plains type area, meaning it's just a wide open plain, and it looks beautiful, to be honest. It was my favorite new looking zone. And actually, the Azim Steppe is where many of the nomadic Al-Ra tribes actually live, not tribes. So expect to interact with those Al-Ra tribes frequently. They showed us some new footage of those areas, and again, we'll get to that in a little bit. The Kojin are the new beast tribe. Now, they are a tortoise-like race with a large protective shell. I know you Final Fantasy XI players are thinking the Quadavs. They don't really look like Quadavs, but I mean, I can see where you draw the comparison. You know what I mean? So they are found on and near the Ruby Sea, and they actually are naturally friendly with the other races. They're skilled traders. So the fact that that already tells us beast tribe quests. We knew that already, but the fact that they are naturally friendly and that this new primal thing is probably going to be, you know, where some of them turn against the others and yada, yada, yada. You know how it works. They are comfortable in water, and they have underwater settlements. So we know where we'll be finding them in the Ruby Sea. They believe that unique gods known as the Kami reside in all things. And they also have plenty of treasures that house these legendary gods, which to me may speak to some of the primals we see down the line when it comes to post-launch primals. Their new primal is Susano, Lord of the Revel, not Rebel, Revel. And this is an original primal to Final Fantasy XIV, and it looks badass. Again, pictures we'll do in a little bit. Now, they reiterated challenging new dungeons, but they still haven't provided us any information as to why they are specifically using the word challenging. We know they said they wanted to bring in new concepts and new ideas to dungeons, but they have yet to provide a solid foundation with which we can actually believe that term. So we'll see how it actually ends up turning out. They provided some footage of the first new dungeon, the ship graveyard. It kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy V, but not really. Like, some parts do, some parts don't, which is nice that it fits a little bit into Final Fantasy XIV. And they said that more dungeons will be revealed in time. I want to know more about the denotation of challenging more than I want to see the new dungeons themselves. They also revealed the 4th residential district. It is not Ishgard, it is not Alamigo, it is indeed Shirogane, the Far Eastern Housing District. They showed a quick video of it. It looks beautiful, and on top of that, expect a bunch of new Far Eastern houses and Far Eastern furnishing. Now, plots are not going to be immediately available for purchase in Shirogane. They want people to not feel like they have to rush to get a house as soon as the expansion launches, so it will be launching at a later date, probably a week or two down the line if I had to guess. Now, on top of that, in case players who have existing houses want to move to Shirogane, they're introducing a moving feature where you can move your house and what's inside of it to a new plot of an equal size. So however that ends up working, I don't know. Kind of concerned. I feel like people who are moving should not be able to move at the same time as the houses become available, because there's new players who probably deserve that housing because they never got housing from the old sections. It builds on the housing issue from before. Yes, apartments gave a lot of people some sort of housing to use, but a lot of people want housing, you know what I mean? So there's a bit of a concern over allowing people from the old districts to move to the new district, because that means the new players won't get the new district, but they'll have to go back to the old district because now houses will be open on the old district. It's a situation, we'll have to see how it plays out, but those are my concerns regarding the moving feature. I think the moving feature as a whole is something we've wanted for a while, because it's annoying to have to demolish and buy a new house, but it also has concerns with its implementation alongside Shirogane, unless it comes somewhere down the line. Also, by the way, if you're on a 32-bit operating system, you might have trouble loading all the furniture, especially considering they're doubling the furniture capacity for houses currently. So smalls are what, 100? They'll be 200. Mediums are 150. Is it smalls 50? I don't remember the sizes. Whatever they are right now, they're doubled. They're going to be doubled in the expansion. Twice as many furnishings are going to be allowed inside of a house. So how many Moogles can you fit in your house? We'll find out in a few months. Also, the last thing, Nobuo Uematsu was brought on stage. They played the new theme, the song Revolutions, with, of course, Susan Calloway being the vocalist. And that was what came out of the opening keynote for the European Fan Festival. So now I'm going to quickly adjust this on screen. I think that's good enough. And we can check out some of the new images. All right. Can I just... No, I can't. All right. So we have the new world map. As you can see, you have Othard to the far east, as well as a bunch of islands. And of course, we have our continent to the west. That's our little Eorzea that kind of looks like Africa in a sense. That's kind of weird. Well, then again, this does kind of look like Eastern Asia, and then you have the islands out here. So yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. So in other words, Hydaelyn is the world. Got it. The new world map, this is going over some old features right here. Doma, set your eyes to the east and band together. That's Gosetsu and Yugiri, in case you didn't get to see the trailer yet. There's Samurai, job characteristics, role, melee DPS, katana, associated class, none. Some other pictures of the Samurai right there. Here's what it looks like in the in-game graphics, and it looks pretty badass. In the trailer, he straight up deflects bullets, which was just, what a badass. Anyway, Kugane is the new city. You can get a few pictures of it here. You can see how it follows those far eastern themes. You can also see you got the dojo right here. You got the Aetheryte with some of the city streets. You've got how it looks kind of at night. Very, again, far eastern theme we got going on right here. More, and then again at night. And then again, another picture of Kugane right there. Now we have the new scenes. By the way, that is the sickest game of Jenga going on in the background of this picture. So you have the Ruby Sea. Right here, there it is, Jenga again. Ruby Sea again. Here are the Beast Tribes, the Kojin. Remember when I said, like, I know you're thinking Quad Av, but they don't really look like the Quad Av? See what I mean, kind of, right now? So a bunch of information there. That's Susano, the Lord of the Revel. Looks pretty badass, got a big old sword, and should be pretty cool. Again, they went over those few little facts about the interdimensional rift of Omega. We also have, this is the ship graveyard. Here are some pictures of the ship graveyard. Again, reminds me of Final Fantasy V, but at the same time, like, parts of it don't, because this is still part of the same dungeon. This screenshot right here, these are all still part of the same dungeon. And then we have Yangja, which is where Doma is. And then we have the Ozim Steppe. I love the way the Ozim Steppe looks. Like, I love it. I don't know what it is about it. It's very calming. It's very peaceful. I really like looking at it. And then we have a few more pictures of the new areas here. You can see we have the rice fields. We have some of the buildings here. We have some of it at night. And then here's where they revealed the 4th residential district, Shirogane. And you can see a few more pictures of that right here. All right. And there's all the empty housing plots. I honestly forgot what a housing district looks like before the houses are allowed to be bought. It's kind of scary, to be honest. And those are just a bunch of pictures from the FanFest itself. Honestly, it was, again, I said this about the last FanFest, and this has been true of all 6 fan festivals, including the 2014 ones. They never go into exact details. They always save that for the several months remaining between the last FanFest and the actual expansion, because they want to keep people excited the entire time. And it's unfortunate because a lot of us are impatient, to say the least, and we want the meat of the information. Why are they challenging new dungeons? You know, when are we going to get to see the inside of Omega? When are we going to get to learn a little bit more about Evilise, which isn't even a 4.0 feature, it's a 4.1 feature, by the way. What about the new deep dungeon? You know, when are we going to get to see pieces of Eureka? When do we get to see new job skills? All the things that people want the most are the things they have to save for the last several months between now and the expansion launch. You can be damn well sure we're going to get them, and realistically, knowing 4 months out as opposed to knowing 3 months out or 2 months out isn't much different. But as a hardcore fan, I'm impatient, okay? That's all it is. I'm putting myself at fault here, okay? That's all it is. But at the same time, I am excited for the things. I had no idea we were going to Othard, so that alone made this mind-blowing. And honestly, after all this Othard-related stuff, I kind of forgot Alamigo was even in the expansion. Like, it feels like Alamigo just doesn't matter anymore. I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't feel like it is, but we'll have to see how it ties into the story specifically, because if it feels insignificant in the story, it's a problem. It felt insignificant specifically at this fan festival, so we'll really have to see how they integrate both of these new city-states and regions being the center of it, because we're pushing against Garlemald at this point. If we're liberating Doma and we're liberating Alamigo, you have to understand how much we're pushing back against Garlemald to accomplish that on 2 fronts. That is not an easy war, and so therefore this story should be chock full of crazy shit going on, and I'm looking forward to that in particular. But hopefully we find out more about some of the system changes in the next month or 2. Usually by April we start getting that kind of information, because that's when it's nailed down. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. That was my coverage of the opening keynote. Again, if you want to get this little text overview with the Imgur folder, I'll put it in the YouTube description when I upload this to YouTube, because I am live recording it on Twitch right now. Thank you for watching it live on Twitch, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still going to be hanging out in the Twitch stream, so don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. But done with the YouTube video for now. So let's wrap up the YouTube video so I can get back to my Twitch stream. Thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. And until next time, take care.